Evening all. So it's tank time. Yay, I hear you all cry. Right, we're going to do some tank. This is solely tank footage. This is unashamed tank crazy PvP. Now the thing is, this is a good one I think, because it does show how, again, vulnerable these things can be. We were up against a, well, phenomenally good opponent actually. Again, not sure why they're kind of not seeing me. I must have my cloak on, but this was a really good, I think, match. Watch how many times I get taken to armor and pretty much you know, almost down and out. I think I'm very lucky with this particular bit of footage, but it was an amazing round. And we spawn tanks, they spawn tanks, they try and bring in tanks to deal with us, we bring in tanks to deal with them. It just becomes, I think, the next, this is the next level of dust. It's going to be not just infantry running around with militia ARs. It's going to be infantry, it's going to be dropships, it's going to be tanks. So let's have some fun. So this is an interesting map. I quite like this one for tanks, but again, I always seem to be kind of victim of turrets, as you'll see. My blasters are not particularly good. I think I've got level 2 in large blaster now, so I'm not using the very bad one, but I'm using the not so great one, which is what, the scattered blaster or whatever that is. It's alright, it's pretty bad across range, as most blasters are actually, but it certainly gets the kills. And what we were doing basically was, this was really just you know, a kind of balls to the wall all out attack, and so we decided to take certain modules out as well. So we're actually going here taking out the CRU, because the CRU at point C on this map is a constant pain in the bum. If you don't kill it, or if you don't keep an eye on it, it's going to be captured and then C is lost to you. So a bit of a pro tip there, if you have the ability to destroy it. Now, top corner, left corner, you may have just seen it. Somebody just spawned in a tank and I didn't notice it. So this is about to get interesting, because obviously they've seen that I've got a tank, so they're calling in tanks to deal with me, which is awesome. So you can see the dot there, I've just noticed it, so I've gone, oh, what's that? Like a cat ready to pounce, and then I see the tank, so I now charge it. And yeah, basically this is tank PvP. As you can see, he's not shit fit, but he's not particularly brilliant in fit. But again, just, I don't know, zooming for the kill cam. Oh yeah, it was a Soma, but it was pretty well fit. And again, that was tank number 1, and that's not the first, that's not the first. It's the first, but it's certainly not the last. So you know, keep a count of how many we kill. Also, my buddy Lord Porter, or 45 Auto, is called in his tank at some point as well. Just because, again, we see that they're calling in tanks to basically deal with it. So think of it, what I said in a comment maybe previously, which was, it's an escalation. EVE works exactly the same way. Two gangs may fight, and if one gang starts losing, they'll escalate and maybe jump in a carrier. That carrier will then start repping and triaging the fleet. So the enemy fleet then calls in the dread to kill the carrier, and then the carrier fleet then call in the mothership or a super carrier to then kill the dread. So you see what I mean? EVE is all about escalating and asset escalation as well. So eventually one team chickens out and then pretty much hands victory to the other team. Because, I mean, this is again one of the key differences between this and Planetside. Because this has an economy, because there's money in this game, it means that everything is more serious. So if you bring in a tank and you lose it, you get really angry. Not all people, but most people will. And that's really important, because in Planetside, you just spam stuff. You just bring in as much as you can. There's no cost to it. It doesn't matter. Oh, I'm going to call in a tank and then just leave it on the side of the road. And there's no sincerity, there's no seriousness with that, which I think is very bad. Certainly this is what Dust and EVE has always been about, the ISK side of it. Anyway, as you can see, we're pretty much pushing them back at B now. It's not a kind of straight fight though, because even though we have tanks, they have tanks, it's pretty much a 50-50 kind of fight still. I mean, they're bringing in, I mean, that guy hit me so hard. I mean, okay, my hardeners went on, but here we go, almost dead again. Just managed to do a loop and managed to get my shield booster on, but there we go, Porter's now getting here. So it was really quite tense. At no point was this a walkover, and it was pretty scary. So there we've got another of our squad guys called in the tank, and if you watch for him, he's about to lose his Seeker. But again, this is the beauty of it. So a lot of ISK was chewed through in this fight, which I think is great, because this is exactly the kind of fights that you want. You don't want that kind of easy push where you just win a bit of ISK and it's like, oh great, I've got more money. This was actually something where you know, the escalating nature of both teams was a real factor, and it was fascinating because really that escalation on either side. Oh, watch this again, almost die here. Wow, down to 150 shield. One more shot and I probably would have gone. lucky. Do you know what I mean? This gun logi is good, and I think the ability to get out of dodge when stuff happens is pretty useful. Oh, we just got an orbital as well. So I think really the key nature of tanks is they're not overpowered, they're not pawn wagons. They do require skill to use. But anyway, I'm not going to on about that. Now get ready, we're about to meet our second contestant. Now here we go, and where did he come from? Our railgun tank obviously spawned in to try and kill us, pretty well tanked, and boom, down he goes. Now unfortunately he just didn't see us, he was hunting us as well, and that was an absolute joy, and it's just unfortunate. I feel sorry for the guy. It's just unfortunate he had his back turned to us, so he didn't really see where we were hitting him from, and we're lucky, both Porter and I were lucky that he didn't see us. But there we go. So that's pretty much the cool nature of these escalating battles, because obviously they're getting pissed off with us, so they're now calling in stuff to deal with us. Now also their AV abilities were very good. They constantly kept my shield in being hit. They had swarm launchers, they had forge guns, and they were doing serious damage to me. None of it was militia, it was pretty evident, and they were doing a phenomenal amount of damage. So as you can see here, I'm beaten back once again from C, and all my modules are engaged, and I'm just lucky enough to get my repper working, fortunately, halfway through, and then I walk into an ambush at A. So again, I'm kind of thinking, right, I'm going to have to fight my way out of this, but this is the beautiful nature of this game, because again, at this point, the adrenaline was flowing, because I'm thinking, I don't want to lose this tank. This is quite an expensive tank I've got out here. So, luckily I managed to come around the side and then just zoomed in the footage slightly. What then happened was a massacre, because again they're focused on Porter's tank over the ridge and maybe a couple of the squads coming to them. They didn't really focus on what else was hitting them, and as you can see, just a huge amount of kills there. And this is where I would say a tank really does become essential, really, because we wouldn't have beaten them. They had what, 5, 6, 7 people there. And we pushed them back, and we managed to then hack A. And at this point it was pretty vital, because even though we're losing the clone battle, I think we were at the point where we're winning the clone battle, but we weren't certainly winning the MCC battle by any stretch of the imagination. So this is why it was a pretty key capture, that one. So I was screaming on comms, whatever it takes, get A, because we need to keep A and B at least, and then just bottle them in at C. So it became a really good fight. Now, we also found out that they're still spawning in tanks, because obviously I think that guy I killed earlier, maybe he wasn't too impressed that I killed him from behind. So, I think he was keen to get me. So, what we basically see now, as I'm kind of rolling around, is tank number 3. So, contestant number 3, there he is. Now, he's in a railgun. Now, again, he is a seeker. And I think he must have called in a shit fit tank, because his shield just melted. But what I realized is when I saw he was in a rail tank, the tracking speed on those things is slow. So I actually just put my foot down and then went past his turret range. So he then had to spend time swiveling that horrible great big railgun, and I was able just to basically just blast around and then kill him. So yeah, there we go, 3rd tank in a row. And okay, they're militia tanks, but hey, it still matters, and they weren't terribly fit. I think I was just exceptionally lucky throughout this entire map, and I think that has to be kind of part of the training of a tank pilot, is to when to identify certain things. So when when not to do stupid stuff like this, where you get yourself into a dead end that you can't reverse out of, and then people throw AV grenades at you. Okay, they're not AV grenades, but you see what I mean. This was stupid. But I survived. We won, and yeah, we had a good. It was a good victory. Now, again, I would stress the more war points you get, the more kills you get, the more skill points and ISK you get. So obviously you see here, you get like 13k skill points, and then 412k ISK, which is quite a lot of ISK, and hopefully you're all aware that that's how it works. And in this case, obviously I died once. I got 35 kills and 1 death. So there we go. An interesting one, I think you'll agree. So I hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.